Time now to talk business with our partners Forsyth Barr. Let's look at inflation. This is for the December quarter. December quarter inflation was running at 3.1%. Now the problem, that is higher than what it was expected to be, also higher than the 3% that we saw for September, higher again than the 2.7% that we saw for June. So what we've seen happen in the back end of last year is inflation tick up and up and up again. What happens from here, and what does this mean for the Reserve Bank? Let's not forget Anna Bremen, who's the new Reserve Bank governor, is going to make a call, along with the rest of the Monetary Policy Committee next month, about where to take interest rates. Probably that will hold, but what happens later in the year, and what does that mean for the economy? Joining us now is Garth Bray, host of the Herald Now business program, which is kicking off this year too. Garth, good morning. Happy New Year.
Hey, wonderful to see you here, Ryan.
Great.
Bright and early on an Auckland anniversary weekend, we're hard at work no matter what.
I know, even if everyone north of Taupō is at home.
Yeah.
Relaxing.
Hopefully watching
the show this morning. Now, the inflation didn't quite get the memo, did they?
No.
Inflation number.
Hello, prices, you should be coming down. But look, we were maybe sort of worried and expecting that. What we've seen, I guess, out of this is administrative inflation, your council rates and that kind of stuff, and energy prices still really, really sticky. And I guess the problem for the Reserve Bank when it tries to figure out what to do about this is that those don't tend to be terribly responsive to a change in interest rates. I mean, interest rates tend to sort of influence investment decisions, consumption, that kind of stuff, people, potentially feeling more comfortable about taking on more debt and so on. But if you're looking at some of the structural problems we've got in there, that's going to take some big moves, some sort of long-term plans to sort of shift productivity, that kind of stuff. So it's tricky. Nonetheless, I mean, the numbers are the numbers. This is above that range, that 3% range that the RBNZ is supposed to hit. They'll be keeping a pretty careful watch. I mean, they're not going to jump on this in February 18 when they next look at the OCR. But you're already seeing, I guess, banks across the board saying, look, there could be one, there could be two OCR lifts before the end of the year, probably third and fourth quarter. And that all starts to colour the picture for banks when they're trying to work out where to put those longer term rates. And you'll start to see some of those better deals sort of creep out of the market. They've already sort of faded pretty fast.
Yeah, they have. Almost like a blink and you'll miss them.
Yeah.
But how can this be the case? I mean, people will be saying we're only just coming out of the mess, and then what? And within 6 months we're going to be running too hot, and we'll need to hike rates again.
Well, it's not like they're going to go to the moon, right? Because they're still at 2.25, even at 2.75, they're still below what you'd probably consider the neutral rate. I guess it's just like, medicine for the patient, and they're just going to say, hey, we need to really, really back off that longer term medication that you've been taking. Economy, you need to just chill out a little bit.
Chill, cool your jets.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the Magnificent Seven. We've got 4 of the 7 reporting this week on. This is the AI firms.
Yeah, and these are the dominant players in the US market, the dominant players in the gains that we've sort of seen. But actually, they've not been faring too well. So I think Meta and Microsoft are the 2 main ones out of the blocks. I think Tesla as well. They're still sort of hanging in there as a Mag7. They'll be out sort of Thursday later this week. But it's a real test because they have dropped off the share market highs that you sort of saw with them back in September. And it's a real, I suppose, investors are looking going, hey, you can't just say AI anything now. It's like which horse is looking more likely to do well in this horse race? And people are starting to make picks and make bets. But generally, I suppose, if they don't come in with some pretty impressive picks and pretty impressive numbers, it's going to take a bit of confidence out of that entire picture with the S&P.
Now, we have just spoken to an entrepreneur on the program, set up Habitual Guardian, lives in the city, knows it well, told us we need to do more investment in the CBD. and now we've got a bit of a hiccup. This is for Precinct Properties and their plan to redevelop a large area of the downtown.
And anyone that knows Auckland and Auckland's downtown, there's a downtown car park, which is pretty much the only place that you can park now in downtown at a reasonable rate. They took that over, I think, just before Christmas, purchased it from the council for about 120 million. And they are looking at a roughly $1 billion project, a couple of towers they're going to put in there. But they were fast track enabled. They'd been part of the legislation. But the fast track didn't mention that they were going to put a hotel there, just apartments. So they had to do a little tweak just before Christmas. And that's meant that Precinct pulled its application, resubmitted it. There'll be some costs involved in that because you've got to stump up with the thick end of $500,000 when you put an application into the fast track. They're working out the refunds and so on. That's kind of the chump change. The real problem is, does this push that redevelopment even sort of further down the track? For the people that want somewhere to park when they're nipping into the shops in Auckland, if you're still coming in, it's probably good news. But I guess probably just another sign of how tricky it is to try and get that kind of redevelopment and that kind of regeneration that Andrew Barnes, the chap you're mentioning about, was talking about.
Appreciate your time this morning, Garth. Thank you. That is Garth Bray. He is host of Herald Now Business, and we talk business every day here on Ryan Bridge Today, thanks to our partners, Forsyth Barr.